finally arrived. It is the International GT Open of 2024, and it all kicks off here at the Autodromo Algarve. We've got 4.653 kilometers ahead of us. Plenty of action. 15 turns, 9 to the right, 6 to the left, with 70 minutes of racing action to be had, with driver change periods opening up in the middle during the course of the race. The temperatures have been fair to middling. We haven't had any rain like we had at qualifying first thing this morning. And the story is that we've got the Pro-Am of Carol Bash sitting on pole position. The changeable conditions providing a little bit of an affliction to some of the pro cars out there. Fabian Schiller, though, still managing to park his car on the front row in second place. This is the 19th season of the International GT Open, and we're looking to make history once again with potentially various different talents making up a staunch hench, as we said in qualifying, pro grid, and a hench Pro-Am grid to boot as well, with a nice dusting of AMs to really tickle the taste buds. We're looking forward to this one, folks. Portimao lies in wait, the Algarve, the stunning stellar circuit that is going to soak up all this grandeur with some of the best cars on the planet. Looking to light things up here. We have 6 brands taking part, and it's going to be fascinating to see who comes out on top. Your commentary team, my name being George Morgan. Joining me in the commentary box once again, it's the one, the only, Chris Stevens. Chris, we are back. It's Portimao, round 1, 19th season. It's going to be good.
And a fairly big fight as well, particularly up at the front of the field amongst the pros, where we have 9 entries for this weekend, or even more than that even. It's 12, isn't it? Sorry, for this weekend. I think it's closer to 10 for the full season, but yeah, 12 for this weekend. And Fabian Schiller, the top of them in the second position in qualifying. But there's a big fight amongst them between some of the best drivers in GT racing, Fabian Schiller being one of them. As a Mercedes works driver, also got Audi works driver Christopher Haase, Lamborghini factory driver Jordan Pepper, a number of youngsters as well, and factory associated drivers such as Leonardo Polcini, another factory driver as well, and of course returning champion from 2022. We've got a number of returning champions as well, particularly in the Pro-Am field. We have 3 of our last 4 champions, sorry, from Pro-Am on the grid. Our returning Am champions as well from last year. Reigning team champions, East Talent back on the grid as well, amongst a flurry of newcomers. But the story really is how the teams that are returning from last year have stepped up their game. Oregon have come here with a 3rd pro car, a real statement of intent. Motor Park have added a 2nd pro car as well, and are present in all 3 classes. Now we've got Get Speed with 4 full season cars across all 3 classes as well. And Car Collection Motorsport debuting in the championship and bringing 3 Porsche 992 GT3R in the Pro and Pro-Am classes. So we've got a fantastic mix of cars. 6 manufacturers, as you mentioned, 10 of them being 10 cars being the Ferrari. Mercedes, the most represented manufacturer here with 12 cars. 4 Lamborghinis, 3 Porsche, 3 Audi, and 2 McLaren as well from Greystone. They're present in the Pro-Am category with both of their cars. We've got just a real fascinating fight between how this is going to all unfold. And you see Alex Fontana there, starting from the 2nd row of the grid. Quite a breeze out there. But he's 2nd amongst the Pro-Am runners. There's a bit of separation really between a lot of the pros and the Pro-Ams. I mean, our top Am driver as well, Timo Rampkal, starting all the way up in 7th position overall as well. And we've got pro cars as low as 22nd after what was very difficult qualifying session with the deluge, and the rain was on and off throughout the session. So a bit of a mixed up order, but not to take anything away from Carol Bash, who has taken overall pole positions before. Been very quick, and yeah, here's that Am car, as we mentioned, Timo Rampkal. He and Heiko Neumann, reigning Am champions from last year. We also have reigning Pro-Am champions in the form of Eddie Cheever and Marco Polcini. They are starting just a little bit further down in that 9th position. And then here we can see one of those very smart car collection Porsches, Gustav Bergstrom, the Scandinavian driver, starting from 8th position, competing in Porsche Sprint Challenge and Carrera Cup Scandinavia. We're doing that again this year as well, sharing the car with Nico Menzel, a Carrera Cup Asia champion of years gone by. And this is another car that's switched over from the Ferrari 488 to the 296, as many of them have. Only got one 488 left on the grid now. This is the Jamie Stanley, Laurent de Meus car. Jamie's looking pretty pumped up and ready to go there, isn't he?
Certainly is. Great to see Jamie Stanley back, and of course Laurent de Meus. We catch as well Eddie Cheever earlier on, once again teamed up with Marco Polcini. There's Timon van der Helm in grid spot 11, also part of the car collection team. Oregon got a chance to speak to Jerry Canavicio earlier on. Was obviously not necessarily delighted with the fact that his cars are further down the order. He's generally used to winning historically. We look back last season at what happened at Hungaroring, where it was Maximilian Paul who pulled off one of the most gargantuan finishes I would say that we have seen in modern history of the International GT Open. Well, they're still back, and they've got some very vibrant young talents behind the wheel, including the likes of Jordan Pepper. What about obviously Leonardo Polcini returning, and not to mention the other names that they've got behind the wheel of their cars. It's going to be fascinating. Marzio Moretti as well, another one to watch. As we get set to go racing once again in Portimao, the cars lining up onto the grid. Very soon they'll be tackling the formation lap. Let's take you through the starting grid. On pole position, it's Carol Bash. The pole is on pole. Alongside him is Fabian Schiller in second place, with Anthony Bartone stepping in later on for him. Lucas Dunner lines up in third. Got a chance to speak to him earlier. He's very excited about this. Alex Fontana in fourth as well. Fifth place going to Diego Menchaca, who unleashed his frustrations after the car broke down in qualifying. Back again this time, though. Michele Rugolo, one of the most successful drivers on the grid this season with most wins out of the bunch. Timo Rumpfkeil starts from P7, leading the AM class. Gustav Bugström in 8th. Eddie Cheever starting P9, last season's Pro-Am champion, with Jamie Stanley starting in 10th. 11th place for Timon van der Helm, with Nicola Marinangeli returning back with Spirit of the Race in 12th. Further down in 13th, we have Alfaisal Al-Zubair lining up for Almanar Racing Get Speed, with Philip Salakada in 14th place. In 15th, Yannick Mettler will be handed over to Dexter Muller when the driver change window opens. Ralph Enaiken, who will be handing over for Leonardo Polcini, the 2022 champion, back again this season. Simon Riker, last season's team champions East Talent Audi. He's sharing the same row with Mikael Petamba, who's back again. Purple hair and all. Aaron Walker starts in 19th. Jordan Pepper in 20th place for Team Oregon. Great to see Jordan Pepper back. Oliver Webb, very talented young British driver as well, starting 21st, with Marzio Moretti in his debut season in 22nd. 23rd for Jim Pla, with Alessandro Cosi starting in 24th spot. Further down, Giuseppe Cipriani, a former multiple-time champion, in 25th, with Kiki Satnana, the Thai drift star, back again for Get Speed. Tom Jackson in 27th, with Jean-Claude Sada lining up in 28th. Has had success in the Golf 12 Hours historically, back again this time. Ernst Kirkmeyer in 29th, with Marcelo Hahn and Blau Motorsport, who had their own issues in qualifying. A little spin detailing them around this track. Morten Stromstead, already off the back of his son's successes this weekend. He's hoping to have some of his own. He sits alongside Stuart Proctor in 32nd place. Stanislav Jedlinski lines up in 33rd. Will be lining up alongside Christian Korzanowski as well later on. That takes us through the rest of the grid. But very soon, we'll be getting going here at Portimao. It's currently silent on the grid. It won't be for much longer as we now peel and take a look in the garage. Of course, Michael Grenier, of course, sitting alongside Alfaisal Al-Zubair for this particular weekend. So it'll be exciting to see what he can do. Of course, it's going to be interesting because there's no Fabian Schiller, Alfaisal Al-Zubair combination that we have witnessed over the last 2 seasons, Chris.
One that won this race this time last year. So, Fabian Schiller being put onto a slightly different program with Anthony Bartone. The field roars into life now. This is what makes GT3 racing so special. It's that symphony, that cacophony, as the 5.2 litre naturally aspirated V10 is combined with the V8 of the Mercedes alongside it, the 6.2 litre. And then it's joined in there by the Porsches, the flat sixes, the twin turbo V8 of the McLaren, and the turbo V6 of the Ferrari as well. great different combination of manufacturers, all kept within close margins by balance and performance. Great teams, great drivers joining us for the 2024 campaign. And you know, it's been nearly 6 months since we left Barcelona, and I think I've just about gotten over everything that happened that weekend. Such was the heart rate that it gave us. It was such a thrilling finale. There's just so much anticipation about what this season is going to bring us, with so many great full season entries, and it's going to be a great fight. For sure, amongst the pro runners and the Pro-Am field. That's just gone from strength to strength. About 20 cars in there that are real contenders. So we're going to see pretty shortly Karel Bash against Fabian Schiller at the front of the grid. Of course, Karel Bash will still try and keep the lead and keep himself in clean air, even if his fight at the end of the race won't be with Schiller. Of course, his nearest rival will be Alex Fontana in the black and gold Porsche behind him. Yeah,
it's great to see Villorba Corsa back as well. Scuderia Villorba Corsa were champions back in 2013 with Andrea Montemini. They're back with Jim Pla and Michael Blanchemain this weekend, and starting down in 23rd place. But the cars now making their way through the final corners. Looking forward to this one, with Karel Bash spearheading the field. Very important he builds a gap. He mentioned it in his post-qualifying interview with Alfredo Filipponi earlier on today, saying that he needs to try and build this gap. No longer will they have a rain or wet weather advantage this afternoon, because we are amidst blue skies with bright traces of sunshine as well, as Fabian Schiller very, very eagerly looking to get away straight away this time around. Still the safety car, though, at the front of this field. Lucas Dunner, welcome back to you, sir, as well, representing the Motor Park team. Made some sporadic appearances last season. Great to have him back this time around as well, with Alex Fontana alongside him. Diego Menchaca will be looking for a blistering start as well to hand the car over to Marcos Seabear, with Michele Rugolo also marking a return to the series. What can Team Aramco do from this AM conglomerate? We'll have to wait and see. Gustav Bergström, I tell you, if we want to succeed, hire a Swede here in this championship. We'll wait and see whether it will be that case for Bergström, as they now make their way up towards the line. Still all red lights, I should say, at least for now, but very soon they will turn green. Karel Bash at the head of the field, Schiller alongside him. Will he send a chill down the spine of Karel Bash? We'll have to wait and see as they now cruise up towards the lights. 2024 will soon be underway here in the International GT Open. We'll put pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. Karel Bash getting away very smartly indeed. Fabian Schiller forming up in behind, wheel to wheel between Lucas Dunner and Alex Fontana as well, as they peel through turns 1 and 2. Oregon cars scattered all over the place. They're going to try and gain. And oh, is that the Almana car? Yep. Almana car by Get Speed. Alfaisal Zubair round at turn 2.
Yeah, disaster for them, but great move by Alex Fontana right around the outside of Lucas Dunner to take 3rd position away. Saw Jamie Stanley jinking out from the formation right as the lights were going out, so I wonder if he'll get pinged for breaking the formation at the start of the race. But for Karel Bash and Fronin Racing, and problems between the Oregon cars. 2 of them round, and there was contact, I think, with the ISR Audi.
I think that might have been just caught up in all the chaos. You can see them strewn there at Tora Vep. Yep. Both Oregon cars. I tell you what, Jerry Canavicio is not going to be happy with that. Yellow flag to turn 5.
The 19 and the 63, I think. So the 19 being Marzio Moretti, and then the 63 being Leonardo Polcini. But we'll get confirmation of that as we see a replay, hopefully soon. Yeah, well, Jordan Pepper circling around in 12th place in the number 10 car. So yeah, I think it was those two. Jordan Pepper going for another move here, this time getting through onto Timo van der Helm into 11th position. So from starting 20th, he's already up to 11th. Great first lap for Jordan Pepper, because frankly it was a surprise to see him so far down the order. Lamborghini not running the brilliant speed that we're used to seeing here in general. But yeah, Jordan Pepper making up very solid ground as Karel Bash leads by nearly a full second over Fabian Schiller, Alex Fontana and Lucas Dunner in close formation. Then 2 seconds back to Eddie Cheever, and a move up the inside here from the 51 of Nicolo Marinangeli on Gustav Bergström. That was for 9th place.
Yeah, great move there from Marinangeli, and that is a pro move as well. Bergström now down to 10th, so Marinangeli will now make his way up within the top 10. Further back, Jordan Pepper as well, looking to close up half a second in behind Marinangeli, remember as well. And it looks like Pepper is well and truly at home under the sunny conditions, as we're now seeing cars coming together around Tora Vip once again. As the timing tower updates, Marinangeli is indeed in that P9 spot. There you can see, looking here on our screens now, Timo Rumpfkar, Michele Rugolo as well, looking to follow on in behind. In comes Marzio Moretti after the incident, heading down Tora Vip. Just how bad is that car? Of course, they're making changes to the tyres as we speak, and they will start inspecting the car to make sure everything's okay. But in the immediate, they've still got 2 Oregon cars still out on track. Bash, though, still leads the way, and he's gone purple in the second sector. Schiller, though, still trying to close him down.
Timo Rumpfkar's got a bit of a queue forming up behind him. It's Michele Rugolo, and then Jamie Stanley, and then Nicolo Marinangeli.
Pitamba, but looks of it around the outside as well, who has made so many places in his own right, has done a tremendous job, in fact, as Pitamba has come under a little bit of pressure as well at the same time, but managed it well as we ride on board with the ISR Racing Audi R8 LMS of Philip Salakada, who hasn't had a beyond awful start at this stage, 14th place, and trying to cruise up on Oliver Webb. But of course does have Alessandro Cosi for company as well as they head down in towards turn 1. Still 66 minutes still to go. It's all happening. Certainly has all happened as well. There's Rugolo, Jamie Stanley with a great start as well. Remember, he's gained 2 places off the back. I think he started P10, in fact, and has since managed to move his way up the field. Pitamba as well, up and in amongst it. In comes now the East Talent Audi team, very tight to the inside out of turn 3 and through turn 4. A little bit of debris flying off the track as well. I think that came from the Audi itself.
Yeah, I think it came off the front of the Audi. It was red and white, wasn't it? So the Audi shedding a little bit of weight. It's a replay of the first corner. And Fontana's already made his move at that point, hasn't he? So it was contact with the Oregon. No, I think it was the blue Mercedes behind him. I'm not sure which one that is. Might have been the Porsche. Oh my goodness me! So
it was very similar to Cabezas earlier on in GT Cup.
GT Cup race. Yeah. So I can't quite see which one was on the inside there, but he's cut turn 5 and wiped out his teammate, and it was the 19, wasn't it? So that was Marzio Moretti getting it all wrong at turn 5 and wiping out the sister Oregon car. That is not a good first day in the office for your first GT3 campaign.
Yeah, Jerry Canavisio less than impressed with that, and Timo Rumpfkar has got, like you said earlier on, a nice queue of cars, a deluge in behind with Michele Rugolo hot on his heels. And I alluded to Michele Rugolo, and his wins record holds 5 victories overall here in this championship. Of course, still has a long way to go to gain the 15 he needs to level up with Andrea Montemini and Miguel Ramos, but still, nonetheless, another one wouldn't hurt. But still a lot of work to do. Currently sat in that 7th place and representing in Pro-Am class this time around. So the overall isn't necessarily his fight. Currently in class, he sits P4 as they now hustle down through towards turn 1. There we can see the cars backing up yet again. Oregon car making a move. That's Jordan Pepper again, this time on Nicolo Marinangeli, who made the move earlier on that we saw on Gustav Bergström. Jordan Pepper followed him through as well, and this time it's looking like the Pepper wants to bring down the hammer upon Marinangeli as they head down into Tora Vip.
Pepper's already up into the top 10, having started in 20th position. Now looking at the back of the Ferrari 296 of Nicolo Marinangeli. New teammate for him this year will be Vincent Abril, that he hands the car over to after taking a win with Ricky Agostini last year. You see Timo Rumpfkar in the AM lead, still holding up this train of cars. His nearest class rival is Kiki Sagnana in the Get2B Mercedes in 21st place.
Lucas Dunn will thank him.
Yeah, with some 17 seconds back. So yeah, great performance here once again by our reigning AM class champions. But yeah, he's got quite a few cars around him. As again, Pepper looks to the inside. Marinangeli giving an awful lot of space for Pepper, and at a couple of occasions on this lap. And the chasing pack not too far behind as well. Bergström, Pitamba, and Ollie Webb right in this fight as well. And 4 pro cars all in a line as well. as Marinangeli had just a little bit of a twitch coming out of the final corner. I think that's going to cost him too much momentum down the straight, because Jordan Pepper's not exactly hoovering past him. And in fact, the Lamborghini did not look particularly strong in a straight line at all there. Lost a little bit of ground by the end of it. So still the Mercedes that leads this pack from 6th downwards. And then 3 Ferraris, a Lamborghini, and the Porsche. But this is the lead fight with on board with Fabian Schiller's number 9 Get Speed Mercedes that he'll be handing over to Anthony Bartone a little bit later on. But Fabian Schiller now in his 2nd year as a full-fledged Mercedes AMG factory driver and chasing after the 2022 Pro-Am champion from GT Open in the Olymp car. This is not over 3rd place either, because Lucas Dunner is chasing Alex Fontana for 3rd position. Of course, Fontana in the Pro-Am car, Lucas Dunner in the Pro Mercedes. So they might be a little bit separated later on in the race. But of course, Fontana trying to build up as much of an advantage as he can for his bronze driver a little bit later in the race, who they've been doing a Creventic series together alongside Yannick Medler in the Mugello race and the Spa race just gone as well, getting their bronze driver Hash up to speed. This is his 1st season of international competition. We'll see him out a little bit later. Now, the Mercedes in the wheel tracks of the Porsche. Slight unknown quantity, the Porsche 992, because we've only seen one out in the GT Open, and that was Huber Motorsport wildcard entry at the Spa endurance race last year of this 992 model specifically. So, yeah, a bit of an unknown quantity for the rest of the field to know where its strengths are in terms of this. And Dunner getting it right up over the curb on the exit of turn 4. Eddie Cheever chasing them behind as well, as 1.2 seconds back at the timing line. Looks a bit closer than that now, actually, as it's only 4 seconds that separate the top 5 in this race.
Yeah, still all coming together now, heading through this middle sector. Lucas Dunner now will certainly have all the eggs thrown in his basket as far as Motor Park concerned, because of course Menchaca not featuring in this top 10, so it's all down to Dunner. And here at this stage, they peel through towards his left-hander, up through towards the next right. And Dunner certainly showing that he hasn't missed a step whatsoever, haunting the back of Fontana's Porsche. They now deep dive down, upwards again, the roller coaster circuit of Portimao that offers so much opportunity. We witnessed a truly phenomenal race in the GT Cup Europe race that we had to open up this weekend's racing. So you know, see them head through the final 2 corners now, heading through Galp. And then they'll light things up heading down the long straight again. Karel Bash still with a very healthy advantage ahead of Fabian Schiller, who'll be handing over to Anthony Bartone very deep into the change window, you'd fathom, as they head down this next straight. The Mercedes grunts will no doubt be looking to try and close up on the back here of that Porsche. Great start for Eddie Cheever as well here, Chris, because, of course, part of this Pro-Am fight, he's currently 3rd in Pro-Am, but does have Marco Polcini stepping in during the driver change window period.
Yeah, Polcini was one of the stronger bronze drivers out there. I mean, won the championship last year. Just reminded me about Menchaca. I mean, did he even start the race? There seems to be a pretty
34th at the moment on the timing tower, but I'm not sure whether he ever did, because of course he had his issues, didn't he?
Oh, Jamie Stanley and Jordan Pepper going side by side here. So Pepper's got through. Oh, and he's clocked into the back of the Ferrari as Jordan Pepper.
This is like Marinangeli through.
I was about to say he's cleared Marinangeli, but Marinangeli's back through now in the 51 Ferrari. And now we're going to go 4 wide, going into the hairpin and Torre Bib, but Pitambra on the inside. Bergstrom is the one who comes out on top in the car collection Porsche, though. So great stuff from the young Swede.
Goodness me.
He's gone through absolute flurry of cars flying through, and Pepper's still trying to get this move done on Stanley. Pitambra to the outside, Pepper on the inside of the James Stanley Ferrari. Oh. Stanley dips his left wheels through the gravel. That's going to cost him a few places because they're all in a pack.
Well, they're all coming together, coming into Sector 3 now. Pitamba looking like the aggressor as well. Rugolo has unfortunately descended down the order in accordance to our timing tower. We'll update this as well. This is a battle for 10th. As now we see Rugolo here now as he looks to come wheel to wheel with Timo Rumpfkeil in this battle here further up the order. So Rumpfkeil once again putting his best defensive helmet on once again, but this time Rugolo getting the better of him, I think, this time around. So as they make their way through the final corners, what a moment heading out of Tor of It through towards Samsung. Pitamba not afraid to chuck it up the inside. I did allude to the fact that he has gained a lot of places. He's up into the top 10 now, so it's looking good for the SPS Performance Mercedes team, who have had so much success with Pitamba, and alike with Respar last season, and then following up, of course, his current teammate coming into this campaign as they head down in towards turn 1 here once again, all in tandem, nose to tail. The gap's thinner than a fly's eyelash as we now see Rugolo once again with Timo Rumpfkeil on his tail. Just look at Pitamba though on the back of Jordan Pepper. He's really grown into this series and is showing again why he's such a talent behind the wheel of this Mercedes.
It's just a great fight, isn't it? There's so many cars. Several. We've got, where's it, down from Rumpfkeil onwards, all the way down to 7th place is only 6 seconds. So this is a great fight. So this is where it all kicked off. It's Pepper up the inside of Stanley at turn 3. They rub panels. They shed a bit of bodywork. Stanley gets back up the inside. Pepper rather misjudges the switchback, clunks into the back of the Ferrari. Marinangeli says, thank you very much. I'll have 2 places and move up into 8th position. And we're going to see the off-board again. So he's trying to get the up and under, but Stanley's moving a little bit slower than what Pepper expected. And yeah, Bergstrom ended up taking 2 places on the inside of the hairpin as well for good measure. Pitamba.
Bold move from Pitamba.
Yeah, it was. Didn't actually come off in the end, though, did he? He's still behind Bergstrom and Pepper. But yeah, just great stuff. You see Marinangeli having to stay to the grass there. A nice clean line here for Bergstrom. Bit more rubbing of panels there.
Up the inside, just could not quite get the acceleration out of the corner. I think there was other drivers that had better fortuitous luck than he did on that occasion. Not the first time we've seen Marinangeli tie up with a Team Oregon Lamborghini, it has to be said. We look back to last season where it was him and Pietro Pirellini. This time he's got to come up against Jordan Pepper on this occasion. And Marinangeli does hold all the cards in P8 for now, but Pepper now under pressure because here comes Pitamba being followed through as well by the mean blue and yellow livery that follows on in behind, that being Oliver Webb, who's now brought himself into this mix as they head down in towards Tor of It once again. Now, heading further up, this is, of course, the fight between the 96 of Lucas Dunner, who is now chasing after Alex Fontana for that P3 spot. Further back, Eddie Cheever, also part of this mix. Now, Cheever's kind of banking off the back of all this as well, having his opportunity out in front of him to hold on to a Pro-Am podium at the very least. And when Marco Polcini takes over, of course, he'll be contesting against the likes of Marcin Jedlinski. And of course, when Alex Fontana comes in, he'll be swapping out for his teammate as well. So a great opportunity here for Marco Polcini to bank when he jumps in the car later on. So it's all about Cheever's first stint. This is what's key.
Fontana leading them out of the penultimate corner, soaking up quite a bit of pressure from Lucas Danner and Eddie Cheever behind. It's Porsche v Mercedes v Ferrari. It's Car Collection v Motorpark v Spirit of the Race by AF Corsa. You see that's the gap back to the lead battle. Something interesting there, Eddie Cheever pulling out the slipstream on the front straight, maybe trying to get some cooler air into the car. It's not exactly roasting out there, so be a bit concerned if overheating was an issue in this race already. But joining the fight a little bit further back, Michel Rugolo in 6th position, Rumpfkeil holding in 7th position. They're not exactly eating the AM car up, are they?
No, I wouldn't say that. Rumpfkeil's having probably an easier run than I would have expected. I'm certainly not saying anything's easy at this point, but obviously given the fact that he's done so well to hold position, I think speaks volumes. He's got Marinangeli now a second behind him, Bergstrom there in the list, and then you've got this train of cars that are coming off the back of Mikael Pitamba. Oliver Webb getting right and close and personal with Pitamba's Mercedes to further up the order. There is the CBRX by SPS Performance further back. Of course, that's being driven by Yannick Mettler and Dexter Muller. Dexter will be swapping in later on as well. Once again, it looks like that Fontana's going a little more defensive-minded against the onslaught that's being put out in front of him by Lucas Dunner. This fight has been brewing now for quite some time. Fontana getting the upper hand off the race start. But Lucas Dunner now coming through. They got some lap traffic of Stanislav Jedlinski getting very close. I tell you what, that could have been curtains for the Motorpark Mercedes right there, but they lap the back marker nonetheless.
Just about.
Scare him, Chris.
Yeah, hasn't quite separated them too much. God, I love watching how they bounce through that final corner as well. It's a great big bump in the middle of it. These cars just ride it so elegantly. So we're about 20 minutes into the race. This time it's the Mercedes trying to get some clean air into its radiators, which is, yeah, really interesting. Still Karabash leading only 1.1 seconds ahead of Fabian Schiller, and then this battle third, 3 seconds back. It's Jordan Pepper, who's now up into 9th position. He's dispatched of Gustav Bergstrom's car collection Porsche. That Lamborghini's seen better days on the front end. It's carrying some war wounds.
It's off the back of the contact, I think, with Jamie Stanley.
Definitely, but he's gone right around the outside of the penultimate corner on Bergstrom. A very impressive move, and giving him a little fright on the exit of the corner there as well. And
a few reminders.
Yeah, I think Bergstrom is going to try and hold it out on the inside of the final corner as well. Hopefully we stay on board for long enough to see that. We won't, unfortunately, because we've got Simon Reicher's East Talent Audi with some war wounds of its own. Currently in 21st position. Just been dispatched by Tom Jackson, I think he has in the 108 car. This is that battle for third place once again. Could throw a blanket over these 3 cars, couldn't you? Only 0.6 of a second or so separates them at the moment. Still, Alex Fontana doing a great job holding these guys back. Fontana, multiple champion, but Lucas Dunner striking around the outside. Not going to work though, because Fontana's wise to it and sees it coming. And Lucas Dunner, a driver making his comeback to full-time racing, as he did at the end of last season. And now it's Eddie Cheever's turn to try and pounce, because he's right in the toe of that Mercedes, side by side into turn 1. But the Ferrari's got the legs to get ahead by the time they get to the first corner, and that's Eddie Cheever up into 4th position ahead of Lucas Dunner. And now the car directly in front of him is his class rival, the Pro-Am Alex Fontana. That would be for 2nd in class.
Yeah, fantastic start here from Eddie Cheever, and like we alluded to as well, handing over to Marco Polcini. If he can put himself higher and higher and break ahead of Alex Fontana, not only is that 2nd in terms of the Pro-Am classification, but it does put them in good stead for a Pro-Am victory, which will get their season off to the perfect start here in this case. But still, they're being persevered by Lucas Dunner, who was hovering all over the rear of Alex Fontana. Now, Cheever's issue is that he's going to be boxed in between the 2 cars here, with Fontana boxing Dunner earlier on, as now we see the Oregon team now coming into close contact with Nicola Marinangeli. Jordan Pepper sensing danger, heading through Torrevit. Marinangeli trying to close it off. Where have we seen this before? Between an AF Corsa style Ferrari, or should I say Spirits of Race, in this battle that we have here in the 2024 season. Jordan Pepper bringing the Oregon into the mix. Ferrari v Lamborghini, a contentious fight of sorts here as they now peel up the hill this time around. And Pepper, I think, spying an opportunity. Marinangeli trying to defend it, heading through the next right hander, but they are going to go downhill and over the crest. And it looks like Marinangeli might have found a little fragile moment, because in comes now Jordan Pepper, who's going to try around the outside, heading through towards the next left-hander at turn 13. Can't quite find it, but the switchback's on offer. Stellar from Pepper. They make contact. A little reminder as well to Marinangeli as they come through the final corners. Oliver Webb sticking his nose in. A fantastic moment between these 3 drivers. Oliver Webb striking at the very death on this very lap. 49 minutes to go, and it's Marinangeli who loses out twice.
That is opportunistic from Ollie Webb, who's maybe using a bit of his endurance racing experience there of managing traffic. Great stuff further down the field. Some wonderful battles, as always, in the International GT Open. Still very little separating our top 2 out at front, 0.8 of a second as they cross the timing line. Fabian Schiller just closing in a little bit on that last lap. Battle for 3rd place still here between Fontana, Cheever and Dunner. And then we can see the progression that Schiller has made over the last few laps. Been consistently quicker than him, but not by much. Not by much at all.
He was the second out, though. And he's back into near enough 8/10. Yeah. He's closing, but this is a fascinating encounter now. We've got Lucas Dunner once again going around the outside, looking for that favourable run down the hill. Once again, like we saw earlier on from Jordan Pepper in his fight with Marin Angeli. Did not quite work out for Dunner this time, but it could tee up a run heading through turn 13, though very wise to it, Eddie Cheever. You're not going to fool him there.
Now, Ollie Webb's gone for Jordan Pepper as well for 8th position. It seems like every time Jordan Pepper makes up a place, somebody nips him back again with somebody else. It's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back for Pepper at the moment. This is Alessandro Cosi in 19th position with Alfaisal Al-Zubair and Tom Jackson and Simon Riker for very close company. 19th position, as I said, Alessandro Cosi's number 25 car joined the Pro-Am field after racing in Am last year, as is the 61A, of course, at Ferrari. The Alfaisal Al-Zubair on the recovery after being hit up the backside at the start of the race. Looked like there was a potential move there going into the penultimate corner, but no way through that. Of course, Simon Riker is part of the reigning team champions lineup as well in 22nd place. We're hoping that Chris Haase can move them up the order. Now, Fabian Schiller, now half a second away from Karel Basch, our race leader overall. Schiller, of course, one of the fastest drivers in the field, being a Mercedes-AMG factory driver. Very well acquainted with Mercedes machinery at this point in time. And they're now running with the Get Speed squad once again, but this time with Anthony Bartone. Slightly different setup for him this year. For the former silver class champion in the GT World Challenge. So he's right on the back of that Olymp Audi now. And of course, Audi pulling the plug on their works program, so to speak, not building any new cars, and even the road car is unavailable now, the R8. But still a very well-developed car, and one that's going to be very rapid throughout the year, no doubt. It's Alfaisal Al-Zubair getting up the inside of Cosi for 19th position.
Yeah, he's on a redemption arc, isn't he, after the spin, heading through turn 1, and Alfaisal Al-Zubair recovering well to get up to P20 now. There's Karel Basch, and has got Schiller up close and personal for company here at this point. Through turn 1 they'll go, and Schiller looks to be closing all the time here. It's all down to how Karel Basch can just marginalise and defend, whether he needs to at this point, because obviously he's in a Pro-Am fight, but he is defending nevertheless. Coming through towards turn 3, turn 4 coming up next. Schiller might have been caught unawares in that brief moment where the Audi cut back across in front of him here. He might try something now at Tora Vip just to try and shock the pole in perhaps a move for the lead here in the overall stint of this race. Karel Basch once again defending to the inside, demanding, certainly in defiance against Schiller, who's trying to send it, heading up through towards the second sector now, and they're going to peel up through Samsung out of turn 6. This Audi R8 LMS that Olymp have certainly championed over the last few seasons, that's brought them a title back in the Pro-Am of 2022. Of course, Karel Basch part of that with Marcin Jedlinski alike. They were runner-up last season in the Pro-Am campaign, but giving Schiller a run for his money here.
There is talk that that could turn into a Ferrari 296 later in the season. Waiting on delivery, basically. So once it's available to them, we'll see if they do decide to make the switch or if they stick with what they know. Of course, the sister car, the number 5 in Am, is they've already had the 296 there. The battle for third place still raging on, and coming up some lap traffic as well. It's the Pellin Racing Ferrari 488 in front of him. Last 488 left on the field. So it's still Alex Fontana in the car collection Porsche that leads Eddie Cheever in the Spirit Race Ferrari, and then Lucas Dunner in the Motorpark Mercedes. The second pro entry for Motorpark, but the only one left in this race, as Diego Menchaca and Marcos Seibert not getting a look in this one. And we saw it was a fairly, what looked like a terminal issue, and would explain why Diego Menchaca was in a bit of a huff getting out of the car after quality.
He was certainly, I mean, Huff, you can call it that, or you could call it a grievous assault on his car. I mean, we did witness him going like, waving his hands out in front of it. Almost requisite when we saw Marco Seibert giving out gestures last season at Paul Ricard. But yeah, they seem to have a thing with hand signals.
Much more Italian than they appear. But yes, Fontana,
magnificent.
Fontana's still leading. Battle for third place, still second in Pro-Am, of course, as well. Now, this looks like the Blau Motorsport car. Yeah, Marcelo Hahn going up against the number 11 of Ernst Kirkmeyer, getting a little squeeze there by Kirkmeyer in the Racing 1 Ferrari. And Marcelo Hahn going for a spin on the turn 7 and 8.
Definite contact.
Yeah, definitely, but well, that's far from ideal.
Here comes Dunner. Taking that wider line again that he likes so much as they now pirouette up through this next left-hander. The Mercedes right on the tail of the Ferrari out in front of him here. It's a great drive so far, as I said. Eddie Cheever still persevering after Fontana, who's defended also excellently, managing to keep Dunner in behind for a very lengthy period of time. Incident involving cars 11 and 16 at turn 8 has been noted. So
that's the one we just watched.
We did just watch that one, so just noted in the meantime. We will, of course, give you any further updates should they come. Heading down the long straight once again, still Bash out in front. We're once again in the midst of this battle for P3 overall. At the moment, it's Fontana honing it right now. It's second place in Pro-Am. Of course, Bash still leads the way. And further back, we've got Tom Jackson, who's managed to move up ahead of Simon Riker. I do wonder whether they've got issues with East Talent Audi.
Well, we'll see, won't we, when Christopher Haase gets in the car. Was definitely the quicker of the two last year, as you'd expect. Driver change window is open, by the way, so haven't seen anybody dive into the pits just yet. As you'd imagine, these guys are up at the front of the field and try and extend this for as much as possible. But Alfaisal Al-Zubair is the first one to jump in, and he will hand over to Michael Grenier.
Oregon have got a car in as well, and so do East Talent Audi. Alessandro Cosi coming in as well, and in comes Kiki Saknana.
Yep, so early changes down the Amfield, and yep, Simon Riker going to hand over to Chris Farser. Leonardo Polcini getting on board as well. The 63 Oregon and Kirkmeyer going to hand over the car as well. And car 23, that is the... do you know what? I was still in 2023 mode there. And I was about to say the East Talent Audi had a penalty. But no, car number 23 now is the Pellin Racing
Paolo Roberti
car. So, yes, that's a bit less dramatic than what I was about to make it out to be. But the Blau Motorsport Ferrari coming back to the pits, Marcelo Hahn handing over the car. So no sign of movement yet from our front runners. They're going to try and extend this stint as much as possible. Okay, while the sun is shining. What you tend to get is cars will either come in as soon as possible or as late as possible. Very little in between. Because you've got one driver quicker than the other normally, haven't you?
Rolf and Eikens come straight in. Obviously, he was involved in that tie-up with Marzio Moretti earlier on, and now swapping out for Leonardo Polcini, who will jump into the car. As we're now seeing the Alex Fontana, Eddie Cheever, and Lucas Dunner fight still rumble onwards. Of course, you'd imagine Cheever will take this as long as possible. There's the swap now happening for the Dominic Baumann, Mikael Pitamba combination. Baumann now stepping into the car with Pitamba coming out. Nico Menzel jumps in for Gustav Bergström. And they'll be swapping out as well. We've got Morten Stromstead in the pits, and Thomas Eichen is going to be jumping in to the sister Motor Park car. And currently sits in Pro-Am in this fight, and 21st overall whilst in the pit stop phase right now. As we're seeing the cars rise up the hill, Lucas Dunner still persevering. He's had a very, very decent stint in himself in his own right. This has been such a fierce fight for this P3 spot, as we now see Nico Menzel head back out onto the track.
Christian Koznowski on board the Olymp Ferrari as well. So if there's any sign of movement yet, we've got the 95 Motor Park in, which is the Pro-Am one. Thomas Eichen getting on board that car. No sign from the leaders just yet. Gap still hovering around 0.6 of a second between Karel Basch and Fabian Schiller. And now 6 seconds back to the battle for third place behind them between Fontana, Chiva and Dunner. 18 seconds back to Michel Rougelot, who's leading that squad for 6th place ahead of Rumpkar, Webb, Pepper. Marin Angeli's just come into the pits to hand over to Vincent Abriel, his new teammate for this year. There's multiple sports car champion in years gone by. GT World Challenge sprint champion as well, back when it was known as Blancpain. And yeah, he's getting on board that 51 car now, which we can see. So quick work happening down at 51 garage. This is yeah, that's Timo Rumpkar, 7th position. Still now got Ollie Webb as his nearest challenger, and then Jordan Pepper. Timo Rumpkar's been doing a great job to hang on to this position, the AM car. Top runs driver at the moment. Ollie Webb in that 24 car. ELMS champion in 2014. Joining the field, he'll be handing over to Andre Borodin as well, driver. They did British GT together last year with Greystone. And in fact, I don't think they ended up doing GT Cup the year before as well, didn't they? Oh, they did, but not together. And yeah, Jordan Pepper right in behind them as well. The other Oregon car not too far behind them as well, but a lap down. Timing screen looks to have gone a little bit askew because it's suddenly showing these guys much further down the order, and now it's correcting itself. There has been it's like the second timing loop is out or something, because we've been missing a couple of the middle sector times, so hopefully that isn't an issue that lasts all day long.
Damage clear on the back of the Oregon car once again as well.
Yeah.
Looks so rampant in the 63 as they now climb over the crest. Polcini now at the wheel, of course, 2022 champion, and 2 seasons ago with Benjamin Hites. Be hoping that he can bring some real light to Oregon's race. It's been a tricky one for them. It was taken over from Rolf van Eycken, as I alluded to earlier on, who was caught up in the incident earlier, as we now see them climb up the hill out of turn 6 through Samsung, and then up the hill again as they continue to ascend before then reaching the downhill spot coming out of Galt Corner at the very end of the lap. There we can see them now all bunching up together. The distance there, of course, with Kelly Rougelot, with Timo Rumpkar still with his best defensive helmets on. Ollie Webb still giving him a few things to think about in the Greystone GT McLaren 720S as they now peel downwards. They're going to be met as well with this onslaught of cars further back that are looking to try and launch themselves further in this timing fray. Jordan Pepper part of this as well, as he looks to try and have a look up the inside of Ollie Webb. Big moments. Pepper's not afraid to pull off the big moves. As we said last time, he appeared in the International GT Open, only appearing once. He was a victor. And he'll be looking to try and bring back that same elements as well, though it's going to be a very tough task here at this point, though still nonetheless big points on the offing here for Oregon in a bid to try and bounce back after the difficulties earlier on. We rejoin the third place fight between Fontana and Chiva, which is still rumbling onwards with Lucas Dunner trying to close. There's Basch and Schiller, and Schiller still unable to force the hand of Karel Basch to effectively take over the lead of the race, as we now see Fontana coming out of Toravip with Chiva hot on his heels. They make the climb heading out of turn 5 through turn 6 and 7. The spirit of race in the AF Corsa team working hard as they always do in their strong partnerships with Ferraris. Michael Grenier takes another fastest lap of the race after subbing in for Al Manar for Al Faisal Al Zubair, who had that spin in the opening lap.
Top 2, only 16 thousandths of a second apart in their lap times last time around. They're very evenly matched out the front, and it's only 0.4 of a second that separate them. 6 minutes left on the driver change window, so still plenty of time for these guys to extend the stint a little bit further. 34 minutes left on the clock in this race. Just see if they decide to come in. Like I say, usually you either come in right at the beginning of it or right at the end of it. Oregon's day's just got a little bit worse. 5-second time penalty for track limits for Jordan Pepper in 9th position.
And that was their prosperous car at this point as well that was actively working in the realms of the top 10. Now, unfortunately, has been landed with a 5-second time penalty. So they've had 2 cars collide with each other heading through Tor Vip, and now the third one has been handed a 10-second penalty. Truly a tough day at the office for Jerry Canavicio and Pier Giorgio Testa.
Well, at the moment, it's 9 seconds ahead of Tiemann van der Helm, but obviously it might not be that way at the end of the race because they haven't done their stop yet. So it could be a very different complexion when the checkered flag comes out, but 1-2 there when we get the timing results a little bit later on. Fabian Schiller has got to be pretty sick of looking at the back of that Olymp Audi. He'd be able to draw a very good sketch of it by the end of this race, I'm sure, because he's been studying it for the last 40 minutes. So
I'm not sure whether that says a lot about Karel Basch's defending exploits or whether it's Fabian Schiller's attacking exploits. I'm not quite sure, but we'll wait and see.
I think the former's kinder, isn't it?
Well, I mean, Schiller is an exceptional driver, but so is Basch. I mean, we've seen so many great performances with Basch behind the wheel of the car. Tends to close out races brilliantly as well. We will see him close out race 2 tomorrow, which will be done across 60 minutes as they now head down through towards the final corners. Once again, Schiller is going to have to persevere. The driver change window obviously ends in 4, so they've got effectively, I would say, this lap really is when they need it to be. Maybe they could do it in the one afterwards. They now get together again this time, and it looks like the Il Baroni Rampante car of Giuseppe Cipriani has just been met with a little bit of action heading through Samsung. A massive bunch up there with the 66 car in the mix of all this too. So it all came together, but nevertheless, what a busy moment.
Yeah, the El Baron car is a lap down, and Fabian Schiller's into the pits from 2nd place. Anthony Bartone about to get on board that number 9 Get Speed Mercedes. Anthony Bartone, drag racing family that he is from. He's gone a little bit different in pursuing a GT career, which for a silver class driver is still relatively early on in his GT career, having only got his competition license in 2022. That's opened up the floodgates a little bit because in comes Rugolo to hand over to Fulgioni. Rumpf-Kyle's in, Pepper's in, Van der Helm's in, Salakada's in, and Jim Pla as well. So it's a string of cars now in the pit lane doing their pit stops. We've got 3 minutes left on the clock, so I imagine it won't be long before the top 8, who are yet to do their stop, will follow suit. Yeah,
Philippe Corsa with a very, very prosperous opening stint. Mike Blanchimont now behind the wheel of that car. We've got Bashar Mardini stepping in, Alessio Deleda as well stepping in. Of course, a familiar face that you might have seen in the world of DTM and also F2 alike, as we now see Bash head through the final corners. No question he's got to come in to the pits now to allow Marcin Jedlinski to take over the wheel. And Fontana, Chiva and Dunner have got to do the same, as well as Ollie Webb, as well as Yannick Mettler and Jamie Stanley and Tom Jackson as well. So as it figures out on track, Anthony Bartone will rejoin. And the big question is, can he take the lead of the race? Obviously, Karel Basch putting in the stints to try and protect the place at the front. But we'll have to wait and see whether that can be pulled off. Though I will say, Vincent Abril now starting to pass cars that are now coming out to the pits, and he's managed to slot himself in behind what seems to be Anthony Bartone.
Well, we'll see, surely won't be. Lucas Dunner now in the pits, handing over to Charles Bateman. Charles Bateman's about to do his first race ever that wasn't in a Team Parker Porsche, because that's all he's done across a few different categories. But yes, his whole career taking part with Team Parker Racing and in Porsche competitions, largely in the UK. Although actually, scratch that, he did do a Caterham season, didn't he, back in 2005. But that was with Team Parker as well. So Greystone in with Ollie Webb, Andre Barron getting in the car. We saw the car barn by SBS Mercedes coming in as well. So that'll be Dexter Muller getting on board. Another year in Pro-Am for that combination with Yannick Mettler. That's become very familiar to the GT Open scene now, as does this one. Karol Bash and Marcin Jedlinski, and driver change window closes in less than a minute. So this will be Bash coming in this lap along with Alex Fontana and Eddie Cheever. Bash will swing it right here in a moment. It's the last lap that he can do it. So there he goes. Race leader into the pits. Now, it's less of a concern where he comes out in relation to Anthony Bartone, but more in relation to, Hash and Polgini, and then Andre Borodin and Dexter Muller and co, who have already completed their stops. But these are the last 3 cars that are yet to come in, as Laurent de Meijers there's pulling out of his box in the 55 car, having just taken it over from Jamie Stanley.
Yeah, Hash should be stepping in as well for Alex Fontana, as you alluded to. Laurent de Meijers swapping in for Jamie Stanley also, as you alluded to. Vincent Abril now currently sat 8th, but now we'll see some of these cars now sprint onwards in a bid to try and regain their places up at the sharp end. No doubt Anthony Bartone will be one of them. Charles Bateman also making up this battle as well. Heiko Neumann up in 6th place in accordance to our timing tower, with Alessio De Leda further back. Driver change now has finished. There is Anthony Bartone now. Currently sits on track P4 and trying to close up with those that have just now boxed. Marco Polcini taking over from Eddie Cheever, who put in that brilliant stint to open his account up this season in 2024. But here comes Bartone heading downhill at Galt Corner. Now, what's going to happen in terms of pit escape? Of course, Jedlinski will be taken over from Karol Bash. There is the Audi in the distance, and it looks like the Vermana car has actually come out ahead as well. By the looks of it, the Vermana Mercedes just coming out of the pits. There is Marcin Jedlinski. In comes now Anthony Bartone. So the fight will now erupt between the Mercedes and the Audi, as well as they sprint through towards turn 3 outside line. Bartone gets it done and moves his way past Jedlinski.
Yep, so that's the overall race lead now for the number 9 Get Speed Mercedes, ahead of Marcin Jedlinski. Like we say, his fight's not with the pro cars, it's with the Pro-Am cars behind him. And so the important thing is that he keeps ahead of Hash and Marco Polcini, who have just re-entered the racetrack as well. So this, that 108 car, just getting a lap put on it there. Yep. Yeah. So it is, Anthony Bartone now leading. And you see the difference when you have a teammate like Fabian Schiller, because it's safe to say that Bartone was not in this position when he made his wildcard appearances last year. And this is how he got the lead. Obviously, Marchan's a little bit slow, coming out of pit lane to the outside, much later on the brakes. Nicely done. And as I was saying, Bartone's still really early in his racing career. Got his competition license in 2022, and then did GT World Challenge America with family friend Andy Pilgrim, multiple sports car champion. See how close he got to the Audi there, going through turn 2. Almost contact there, but avoided it. Very nicely done. And now on his way, 2.5 seconds clear in the lead of the race. Nearest pro car is 22 seconds back, actually, which is Charles Bateman. As Polcini's gone through into a 3rd position overall, 2nd in class. He's dispatched of Hash, who's in his 1st season of competition. And then this battle continuing to rage on. So Heiko Neumann is now the cork in the bottle rather than Timo Rumpfkeil. And it's Vincent Abril, Alessio De Leda, Dominic Baumann, Nico Menzel and Mikhail Grenier in close formation, fighting for 6th position. Nothing doing down at the 1st corner. But, I would expect Abril to make this move fairly quickly.
Dominic Baumann also looking very mean in behind De Leda as well.
Yeah.
The Oregon car currently sat in position 8. Baumann trying to hunt him down, and they've got Nico Menzel as well, and Naumann now under pressure because down the inside comes Abril, who does get the move done, and he's being followed also by Alessio Deleda as they creep up the hill out of turn 5 towards turn 6, wheel to wheel here this time. Naumann refusing to back down here, but Abril forcing his hand and taking the place. In comes as well Alessio Deleda with a very late move coming out of Samsung, very close to contact, and it'll open the door as well for Dominic Baumann to receive maybe an opportunity in his own right as they run wheel to wheel, heading over the crest. Mercedes v Lamborghini this time. You'll have the favourable line coming through the next right-hander. A little bit of contact between Deleda as well as Dominic Baumann again. Hangs around the outside here again does Deleda, but still Baumann trying to force him back. These two striking liveries coming up and close and personal. Very nearly losing it, Deleda, and also he might lose out again because in comes now the Porsche round the inside and certainly losing out massively with Nico Menzel taking full advantage, and through now could yet come Michael Grenier.
Well, this lap hasn't quite gone to plan for Alessio Deleda, has it? As Grenier does go through, all not quite side by side through the final corner. So Deleda's trying to hang this one out, but I think Grenier's going to have his man. Yes, he has. Deleda has to slip back into the slipstream, and yeah, that's really gone wrong for Deleda, hasn't it? So it's Menzel 9th, Grenier 10th, Deleda 11th. They go through. That's sole remaining. Oregon, not sole remaining. The other one's circulating in 30-somethingth at the moment, isn't it? Yeah, the number 10 now outside of the top 10. And of course, for the pro cars, there isn't a pro championship. They just score points in the overall championship. So battling these AM and pro-AM cars is actually important for them because it affects their championship. As now Dominic Baumann looks to try and get past Heiko Neumann. He's got to be careful because Nico Menzel will take, he's already shown he'll take full advantage of any little slip up that the car ahead makes, getting himself up into 9th position, and it could well be ahead of Baumann in a few corners as well. 22 minutes left on the clock. Certainly the closest battle we have on track at the moment, as these guys are 12 seconds behind Charles Bateman in 5th position in the Motorpark Mercedes. So yeah, Abril pulling away from it, but still Dominic Baumann trying to find our way through as they go through 13. Menzel trying a different line there. The 2016 Carrera Cup Asia champion trying to find his way through, been competing it with Porsches for so many years now. He's one of these factory affiliated drivers. And big twitch though for Nico Menzel, getting the Porsche all sideways through the final corner, and Michael Grenier needs no second invitation to try and pass here in the slipstream. Wow, the speed of that Porsche is incredible. Even with that moment, he's gone wide though at turn 1, and Grenier might just find his way through now. Yes, he does on the inside at turn 3. So he got forgiven for the first mistake, but not for the second one. But that Porsche's got some serious straight line speed. The fact that Grenier, even in the toe, and Menzel had that massive swapper, Grenier should have just breezed by him, but at the end of the straight, the Porsche was still 3 kilometers an hour faster than the Mercedes.
Yeah, and truly an error that's now been punished. Michael Grenier now looking to try and verge up on Dominic Baumann, who's trying to get rid of this AM car that currently sits in front. It's Mercedes v Mercedes as they climb up through towards turn 6. A swap on hand here. 3 Mercedes enter the fight now with Michael Grenier maybe spying an opportunity of his own right with this AM car, causing a few issues. Heiko Neumann trying to put the cork in the bottle here, as now Dominic Baumann will have that favourable inside climbing up the hill, but Naumann doing enough to defend the place. Enter Michael Grenier, who's going to try and send it up this inside now. Incredible from Grenier. Took full advantage of that opportunity. The slightest bit of contact between them as well, as Baumann looks to try and strike it back. Nico Menzel back also in the fight as they head through towards the left-hander in turn 13. How on earth has Heiko Neumann held on to this one? They've all closed up to the back of him. He has got 4 cars all looking to try and get themselves higher up within this top 10. And take a look at Menzel now, trying to take down Dominic Baumann down the inside of the Gulp corner. The Porsche ascends here. Nico Menzel now ahead as he looks to breeze on through past Baumann. He's into P9. Next on his list, Michael Grenier.
Deleda getting a little wide at the exit at the last corner. there as well. It's all calm at Motor Park while they're watching this, aren't they? But now Michael Grenier, the Canadian, going through on the inside and finally gets through. And now Nico Menzel fancies a runner. Heiko Neumann could suddenly go backwards here very, very quickly. Oh no, Menzel's gone into the back of the Motor Park car. Bit of clumsy mistake there. And that has put the Motor Park car around. I doubt it will actually cost them the AM lead, so long as he gets going again relatively quickly. He's tumbling down the timing order, and Heiko Neumann does eventually get it pointing in the right direction, but such is their lead in the AM category. The next AM car isn't even on our screen because we only see the top 25 cars. So
But it's Adam Osaka, I think. Is it?
No,
it's
sorry,
it's
Giuseppe Cipriani in like 27th place or something.
The former champion.
Well, at least Neumann's got it going again in 14th place by the looks of it. We'll see when that updates. So not saying it's not bad that it happened, but in terms of the AM Championship, they haven't lost anything, which will be the big relief. But could well be that Nico Menzel now finds himself with a penalty.
But he's done a great job as well in helping out Charles Bateman in 4th place, because now he's built the gap in behind to a certain degree. Of course, Bateman managing to get past Hash, but then you've got Vincent Abril in behind. Then you've got Grenier, who's 2.9 behind Abril as things stand. Anthony Bartone still out and ahead. Further back, they're now all starting to formulate in the bottom, what should we say, in the Ps11 downwards. We've got Neumann now in 12th, with Aikin now in 13th, and the sister Motor Park car, Blancheman, in 14th as well. There is Marcin Jedlinski, who currently leads the Pro-Am fight, but closing up to the back now, Marco Polcini. If we take a look at the laps now that have come through over the last periods of time, you can just see it's 1.3 seconds improvement a lap so far, should we read this data from Marco Polcini.
Karol Bash is coaching Marcin Jedlinski through the rest of this race. He's got 3 seconds over Polcini for the lead in Pro-Am, 11 seconds back from Bartone, but that doesn't matter. But last time around, Polcini 1.3 seconds quicker than our Pro-Am race leader. Here's a look again at the Menzel contact against Neumann, and yes, for a second there, I thought there wasn't actually going to be contact, but Neumann didn't quite get off the corner as quick as Menzel was expecting, and he pitched the Mercedes around. Yep, definitely a nudge. So, Menzel could well find himself with a penalty for that one. We'll keep an eye on it. And Charles Bateman, Polcini's already gone through into the lead in Pro-Am while we were watching that.
Marchan.
Marcin Jedlinski.
It's flicked it back up. We got done by the timing tower.
There are either some really dodgy transponders on this grid, or there's a timing loop that isn't working, because my heart just sank for Marcin Jedlinski there, but actually it's fine. Difficult race back for the Libor Milota's ISR squad. His 75 car has just been given an 8-second time penalty for not serving the handicap correctly. This is Vincent Abril now on the back of Hash's car collection Porsche. This is Pro Car against Pro-Am for 5th position overall. Not deciding to lunge the novice driver up the inside at turn 1, but does do it at turn 3, and Michael Grenier follows him through. Hash doing a very good job in what is his first season of competition. As I said, did the Graventic races during the off-season to gain a little bit more experience after making his GT3 debut last year. Now continues around 7th place overall, but still 3rd amongst the Pro-Am runners. Next car behind him is Nico Menzel. But so we keep an eye on the Pro-Am lead as well, and then this battle for 5th position now as well. Michael Grenier in the Almanar Racing by Get Speed car. 2017 Super Trofeo champion, looking at the back of Vincent Abril. But this is the Pro-Am leader, Marcin Jedlinski, who is 2.5 seconds clear of Marcin Jedlinski. So it is the 2022 champions going up against the reigning champions. No, sorry, 2020 champions, wasn't it, for Olymp?
2022 champions.
Oh, it is. So yes, our 2 most recent Pro-Am champions going up against each other, not only for second overall, but for the Pro-Am lead. Now, that is a great fight to be had. 14.5 minutes left in this race, and still Polcini is closing in. And now, while we were watching that, Michael Grenier did get past Nicola Marinangeli, who has also disappeared off my timing tower, but I'm not going to say anything until a little bit later. Oh, sorry, I was looking for Marinangeli. It's Vincent Abril I'm looking for, isn't it?
After the driver change.
Sorry. So the 51 car's still circulating in sixth place. It's been we've had a long off season, George. I'm not up to speed yet. So he's still going around in sixth place. Grenier up to fifth, but now he's got 13 seconds back to Charles Bateman in the 96 Motor Park Mercedes.
Yeah, Charles Bateman, who we're currently seeing on screen now, fourth place, and coming in off the back of Lucas Dunner's extremely decent opening stint. And of course, now trying to close up on Marco Polcini. The previous laps, though, slightly more in the favour of Polcini. In this instance, certainly on the previous one, Polcini and his teammate Shiva up 6 places. If you take a look at the grid progression on the left-hand side, and statements of Jordan Pepper's exploits as well, moving the Ferrari up into the top 10. Let's take a look at this. Dominic Baumann going wheel to wheel and managing to profit off Hash, making his way up the order into P8 as well. Alessio Deleda down in 10th, looking to try and fend off the approaches from Leonardo Polcini, who is 7.5 seconds behind him. It's Anthony Bartone, though, who leads the way still and is having a comfortable drive at the moment. 12 seconds clear of Marcin Jedlinski now, and 2.2 behind Marcin is Marco Polcini. This is a battle that is surely going to unfurl, though I will say on the last lap, they were pretty much neck and neck in terms of lap times enlisted. So if Polcini wants to take this Pro-Am win, he needs to get his foot down ASAP.
Certainly does. Very close between them at the moment. And there we can see it on screen. Now we can see the gap. It's Polcini is trying to reel in Jedlinski. Polcini, who might have seen him on the, noticed him on the Drive to Survive latest season. Because he and Shiva won in Portimao last year. It's one of 4 wins that they took on their way to the title. Polcini came over from Ferrari Challenge competition, whereas Marcin Jedlinski has rather been more focused on the GTs. Has represented Team Poland in the FIA Motorsport Games. And although he's been racing an Audi for the last few years, actually started racing in Porsches. It is the Polish team with the Polish driver at the wheel of it against the Swiss team operated by the Italians, with the Italians at the wheel of Marco Polcini. 11 minutes left in this fight. And, definitely the Pro-Am battle, closest one on track at the moment. And we've got Leonardo Polcini. He's come back up the field to 11th position. That's a really, really good comeback. A really good comeback in the sister car, because he's only 5 seconds or so behind his teammate Alessio Deleda.
Yeah, and he's closing as well by the moment. And we take a look at his last lap. It's a 1:44.163, which in comparison to Alessio Deleda doing a 1:45.351. So it just goes to show, as now we see them once again threatening, this time Leonardo Polcini. Glad to be back in the Oregon car that brought in the title back in 2022. And they're trying to charge back on Hash this time as he looks for the switchback heading down through towards Tora Vip. Polcini looking to spring the trap, heading through towards Tora Vip, this time at the hairpin, has managed to do it. As now we see Polcini change in for P2.
Well, hang on a minute, let's wait till we actually see it. It could be the timing again, because Jedlinski's falling down. So we'll see in a minute. Yeah, in the meanwhile, that was Polcini getting past Hash for 10th position overall. Hash still holding third in Pro-Am, although Dexter Muller is only about 5 seconds behind him for the last spot on the class podium. So we'll see where that is. The next car behind Hash is actually Christopher Haase in the East Talent Audi. So that car's come up through the order and about to break into the top 10. And yeah, time screen's just updated itself again so that Polcini's in second, but now 1.9 behind Jedlinski. It's coming down. Is it coming down fast enough though? That is the question. 9 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, between 1 and 2 tenths improvements from Marco Polcini against Marcin Jedlinski's time. And car 11 getting a 5-second time penalty to be added to the race time as well. So that's Luca Ludwig who actually takes that penalty.
And a 5-second time penalty for the Nico Menzel car collection Porsche that spun round Heiko Neumann as well.
Luca Ludwig actually pulling double duty, as you've alluded to as well, Chris, obviously coming across from GT Cup Europe that we had earlier on, but now racing here in the International GT Open. 8 minutes and 30 still to go. Anthony Bartone having a really nice walk in the park finale here. 15 seconds ahead now of Marcin Jedlinski. 1.6 seconds now between Marco Polcini and Marcin Jedlinski. So the two Pro-Am champions from the last 2 years could be set to come together in the closing 8 minutes of this race. And the way it works out, I would say we're probably looking at around 5 laps still to go here at this point, maybe even a little less, as we see them now cruise up over the hill. And a little flash there from the Oregon Lamborghini once again as Leonardo Polcini looks to hunt down Alessio Deleda here in this instance. So he's trying to flash to try and get himself, I think, ahead of a lapped car in this stint, and obviously wants as much clear track space as possible so he can launch that charge onto Leder, though given the fact that the gap is 5 seconds, it's going to be very tricky to pull off at the very least. But still, Polcini has every chance. We know his quality, we know how good he is, and was part of the Lamborghini factory program as well, but a little twitch heading through the final corner doesn't perturb him, at least for now. Makes his way down the hill very shortly, 7 minutes and 20. And we're going to be kicking things off. There's the Oregon camp right now. Ralph Anikin, after his initial stint, teeing up the final stint for Polcini. And has also managed to uproot Haas in the meantime. Or Hash, I should say, in the meantime. Christopher Haase also looking to try and move up the order in order to try and recover for East Talent Audi. Wasn't ideal really after qualifying, but they'll come back tomorrow, no doubt, with Haase behind the wheel ahead of the second race that we have coming up here at Portimao. And gap between Polcini and Jedlinski still working to come down. Still remains 1.6, but the last lap, once again, 2 tenths, 1.5 to 2 tenths in favour of Marco Polcini.
Alessio Deleda there was looking at the back of Dominic Baumann for 8th position, but now we can see that Pro-Am lead battle. This could make a difference though. Traffic coming into play. The Greystone McLaren being lapped by the Pro-Am leaders. And you say, yeah, that gap coming back up to 1.7 now actually. So we'll see what it is when they actually get across the line. But yeah, it's only been a 10th, 2 tenths between them in most of the laps so far. 6 minutes left, and as they come across the timing line, it's 1.7 seconds. So yeah, very evenly matched once again. Only half a tenth of a second separated them in lap time last time around. So but now, yeah, Polcini trying to get on the inside of the McLaren, which isn't helping him at all.
The Greystone foregoing the place, just managing to find some room for Marco Polcini so he can persevere upwards, still trying to chase down Jedlinski, but like you say, does hamper his time. And look at that, 2.2 seconds now, the gap between he and Jedlinski over that battle for P2 overall and also P1 in terms of the Pro-Am fight. And, further down, Heiko Neumann still leading the charge in the AM field of things. 5 minutes still to go. I was going to say 5 seconds then. 5 minutes to go here at Portimao in race 1. And, once again, we're seeing them all bunch up further back. Deleda now 9 tenths, but drifting outwards. Oh, okay. That's Hash. Just losing it there on the outside of the circuit. Not quite sure what led to it, but the Porsche 911 now at the side of the circuit for the car collection team. And another car has been collected as well. Now, hang on a minute.
Is that Aaron Walker?
Looks like it might be.
Yeah, it's the number 6 and
Valentin Pierberg.
Valentin Pierberg at the wheel of it, sorry. But Aaron Walker, his teammate. Now, well, it's registering 25th on the timing order at the moment, but not sure if that's because where it was after the before the incidents. We got yellow flags out at the final corner at turn 15. Basically, they're making his way up to the hairpin at turn 5 now, nearly 18 seconds ahead of Marcin Jedlinski, and hopefully we're going to see what happened. There was contact between the two. It was Pierberg up on the inside of Hash, and the couple of cars
just missing.
very close to the Pierberg Mercedes. Aren't doing well to avoid it.
All went wrong on the outset of Sargray, who had to self-right themselves. No sight of a safety car or anything like that. Obviously, we wouldn't want that to finish the race here at this point. It would be an almighty shame, seeing as we've gone this long. But here again, we see Anthony Bartone again at the front of the order, just trying to flash his way past the back markers here in the field. So they head up through towards the next left, another car collection car, and again getting so tight, so close and personal, coming out of turn 13. Now heading up towards Sargray once again, this time no concerns though for Anthony Bartone this time around. Jedlinski now 18.3 in behind, but Marco Polcini 5/10 away. Chris, he's managed to close the gap back up.
Yeah, he really has, hasn't he? And now this is for position. This is for third in Pro-Am as Thomas Eichen gets up the inside on Dexter Muller there, and takes third in the Pro-Am category away from the car barn by SBS Mercedes. But this is the battle for the Pro-Am lead that has been brewing ever since the driver change window closed. We have got 2.5 minutes left on the clock, and Marco Polcini is now really right on the back of Marcin Jedlinski, the class leader, and has been since the lights went out over an hour ago. So Polcini now looking to try and get his title defense off to a winning start, and he's practically pushing Jedlinski out of turn 3 as they rise back up the hill, and taking a bit of grass there as well for good measure, and running a little bit wide as a result of that. So keep it cool, Marco, because you've got the class leader right in your sight line, and has been a little bit quicker. But last time around, Jedlinski did a 46 flat. That was 9/10 slower than Polcini. So a rough lap there for Jedlinski. That's what's brought these two back together.
Yeah, certainly Jedlinski now looking to try and defend and breathe the Ministry of Defence that Karol Bash, I'm sure, needs him to be. I'm sure if you're Eddie Cheever and you're Karol Bash, you're looking through pierced fingers in this instance. Obviously just trying to wait and see whether it's your teammate that's going to grant you the Pro-Am victory. And now with 1 minute and 20 seconds to go, Jedlinski and Polcini are going to fight it out here at Portimao for a bid at becoming the Pro-Am winner and second overall out on track, as we're now seeing another spicy fight happening further down as well. Luca Ludwig and Giorgio Sonagiotto battling over Pro-Am placement as well, coming out of the first sector and in towards the Tora VIP segment, coming out of turn 5. Heading out of turn 4 now. In this instance, they will go wheel to wheel, I'm sure, but this is the battle we want to see. It's, oh, wow, there was a car off just heading out of Sargray. Now, I'm wondering, was that Pierberg's car? I'm not quite sure.
I'm not sure if that's the one from earlier. There are waved yellows still at turns 14 and 15, so there's not really a lot that anyone can do through those last couple of corners. And I think at this point, they might just leave it there. And we're now on the last lap of the race. So Anthony Bartone and Polcini going for the Pro-Am lead at turn 3 on the inside of Jedlinski, and the spirit of race team erupts in the AF Corsa garage because they are up to second place overall and into the Pro-Am lead. Great move there by Polcini. He has left it to almost the absolute last chance to try and take the lead on the last lap, and a great job done there by Polcini.
Yeah, got very wide on the exit of Tour of it, but it did not concern him. It did not change the fight for that Pro-Am lead. A great move from Marco Polcini to execute coming through Lagos at turn 3. But it's Anthony Bartone who will now make his way up the hill, up towards turn 13 this time around. A cool, calm, calculated performance that all commenced with the work of Fabian Schiller in the opening stint. And once again, like they did almost a carbon copy of a season ago, Get Speed can enter their name on the top step of the podium once again. They are a force this season. They've brought in more cars. They've got some superb drivers at the helm. And Anthony Bartone registering his name as a race winner here in the International GT Open alongside Fabian Schiller. A magnificent Get Speed performance. Victory here in race 1. Marco Polcini will also be absolutely thrilled with his performance, much like Spirit of Race will be too, as they look to bring home yet another Pro-Am victory for the current reigning Pro-Am champions. Marco Polcini will take it, 2nd overall, and Marcin Jedlinski, a superb drive to bring it home in 3rd. Michael Grenier crosses the line as well, 4th place, with Charles Bateman in 5th. Vincent Abriel also looking to bring it across the line as well, with Nico Menzel in hot pursuit, but it will be Abriel who will take P6 on track, with Menzel in 7th place. But how about that? A podium made up of only 1 pro car and 2 Pro-Ams, Chris.
Amazing stuff, isn't it? And it's not like in the GT Cup race where we had safety car interventions. We were green all the way. Only a couple of incidents that blocked off a couple of corners, but great stuff.
Anthony Bartone, I think, will be absolutely thrilled with that. And of course, coming in from a family that's orientated around drag racing as such, and Fabian Schiller, someone who's so experienced. You've got a combination there that is truly unbelievable, but Bartone proving that he can certainly drive a GT3 car at the end of the day, whereas whether you're in the fights or you're not, or you're in the clear, you've got the clean air, you've still got to bring it home from A to B, and that's exactly what Anthony Bartone did. Stayed out of trouble and just made his way past the back markers in great style.
It's the difference between him coming in and making some wildcard appearances last year and then committing to a full season, doing all the testing and being partnered with somebody like Fabian Schiller as well, with a very strong team behind him as well. That's the difference it makes. And you can see he's got an awful lot more confidence and a bit more speed to go with it as well, winning by 18 seconds over Polcini and Jedlinski. So, yeah, great stuff. And I'll tell you, Michael Grenier was not far off of that Pro-Am lead battle as well. I think 2.9 in the end, as he just dispatched of Charles Bateman right at the end. But Anthony Bartone pulling into pit lane. He and Fabian Schiller are victors in the International GT Open. It's another new winner in the series in the form of Bartone. Schiller's got a couple of them to his name now at this point. Oh, apologies for the language. It's always the risk we take when we have a leaves drop, isn't it?
Welcome to Parc Ferme.
Yeah.
As we know, you see the cars come in. There is Marco Polcini. Squeeze in, guys. As now we see the Ferrari 296 work its way up. Of course, Ferrari 296's first championship victory was in the Pro-Am. Look at the response from Marco Polcini. It was a delicious move at turn 3 that garnered him that Pro-Am lead and 2nd overall. Take nothing away, though, I think, from Marcin Jedlinski. A great drive nonetheless. He defended valiantly, just wasn't able to bring it home, but that man can be absolutely thrilled with what he's delivered. Anthony Bartone, what a show, and Schiller, I'm sure, will respect that effort. There is the jubilance from Marco Polcini, who alongside Eddie Cheever are going to look to yet greater successes, I'm sure, bidding to become back-to-back Pro-Am champions, which would be some achievement.
Certainly would, wouldn't it? And, great start to the season for the championship winners from last year. But here are the results. It's Anthony Bartone and Fabian Schiller with a first victory of the season ahead of Marco Polcini and Eddie Cheever. Get their Pro-Am title defense off to the perfect start. Karol Bash and Marcin Jedlinski, Al-Faisal Al-Zubair and Michael Grenier in 4th, and Lucas Dunner and Charles Bateman in 5th. Nicola Marinangeli, Vincent Abriel in 6th, Nico Menzel and Gustav Bergstrom 7th, Dominic Baumann and Mikhail Pitamba in 8th, Ralph Inaiken and Leonardo Polcini in 9th. Simon Riker and Chris Haase did get into the top 10 in the end, ahead of Jordan Pepper and Alessio De Leda. Thomas Eichen and Morten Stromsted in 12th. Nico Möller Yannick Medler and Dexter Muller, I should say, in 13th. John Corzada and Conrad Grunwald in 14th. Alessandro Cosi and Giorgio Senegiotto 15th. The Proctors in 16th after a time penalty at the end there. Ernst Kirkmeyer and Luca Ludwig in 17th. Dominic Baumann and Timo Rovkal, the AM victors, in 18th position overall in the end, ahead of Michael Blanchimont. A little bit further down. It was Giuseppe Cipriani and Kiki Saknana and Adamo Seika completing the AM podium. And we saw Hash and Fontana getting going again in the end, but a little bit further down than they would have wanted. Valentin Pierberg and Aaron Walker's car ended up at the side at turn 15. And there's the Oregon Lamborghini didn't make it that far after the incident at turn 5. Of course, that puts Bartone and Schiller at the lead of the championship. And two Pro-Am cars in second and third in the overall championship, but it's a long way to go to Barcelona, George.
Yeah, we've only had the first race, but one thing that Fabian Schiller can take away is that is now win, if I'm not mistaken, that will be win number 4 in his career in the International GT Open for Fabian Schiller. Fantastic. But let's take you through the top 3. It's Marcin Jedlinski and Karol Bash who finished 3rd here in this instance. Massive effort certainly on their part, but wasn't able to defend the place. Marco Polcini and Eddie Chiva managing to take 2nd for Spirit of Race Ferrari. But they could not stop. No one could thwart Anthony Bartone and Fabian Schiller. What a huge effort on their part. Secure a race win. Truly magnificent. And they're standing by with Alfredo Filipponi.
Winners of the first race of the season.
Yes.
Fabian Schiller, Anthony Bartone. Fabian, again, first in Portimao. It's your track.
Yeah, it's obviously a great way to start the season. We started last year with a win, and this year with Anthony starting with a win as well. It's obviously great. And yeah, it's always a great venue. We love coming here. It's a fantastic track. And yeah, we're having a great time. Anthony, the whole team, and me, I think we did a great job together today. And obviously the win is a great end of the day, especially as today is Anthony's birthday. So yeah, it's an extra special one.
Special present for Anthony, and it's the first victory in GT Open.
Was that a question? Yeah, of course, first win here. Huge thank you, and such an honor to work with people like Fabian, Adam, the whole team at Get Speed, and it's just a privilege to be able to work alongside guys that are this good.
Well done, guys. The podium is yours, upstairs.
Well, truly magnificent performance. Let's see how they did it as we take a look back at the highlights from our very first race here in the International GT Open. Race 1 at Portimao. Great start for Karol Bash it was. Fabian Schiller, though, had to wait in behind. Alex Fontana got the best getaway, though, moving up into 3rd place and managing to dispatch the motorpark cars in behind. Unfortunately for Al Faisal Al Zubair, it would be a spin heading through the initial corners. Oregon team certainly had a hard start to their campaign after 2 of their cars, Marzio Moretti, coming into contact with Ralph Anikian, unfortunately causing them to be dropped back through the field. We then saw Jordan Pepper trying to rise his Oregon car Lamborghini up through the field when coming into contact with Jamie Stanley as well, allowing Nicola Marinangeli to peel on through. We saw this truly fascinating encounter as well at Tora VIP, where we witnessed Mikael Pitamba trying to make it a 4-way scrap and profit off the back of it at the inside. Jordan Pepper continued to persevere after initial contact with Marinangeli, but then we all saw the driver change periods come into play. Karol Bash swapped out, in-step Marcin Jedlinski. He could not stop, though, the incoming onslaught from Anthony Bartone, who brought about a move heading through turn 3 in truly stellar fashion and cruised on upwards out in front. Heiko Neumann would come under pressure out of turn 3 after being nudged in the rear, spinning on the upset to turn 4, unfortunately coming unstuck. Marco Polcini on stepping in for Eddie Chiba would also make a move for the Pro-Am lead, an overall 2nd place, getting himself past Marcin Jedlinski as well. But Get Speedy once again got speedy here at Portimao for yet another victory for Fabian Schiller and a first one for Anthony Bartone. And here is the podium celebrations. And as I was saying earlier on with regards to the stats, with this being the fourth race victory here for Fabian Schiller, it does equal him with the likes of Vincent Abril and also Michael Beretta, the likes of Pierre-Louis Chauvet as well. A few of those names. A truly outstanding grid. Frederick Schandorf as well, who has been successful here on 4 occasions in the past. And you can add Anthony Bartone to the list as well, who has joined the likes of Marco Antonelli, Riccardo Agostini, Sean Balfe and Klaus Bachler. Major names that have competed here at the highest level in the International GT Open. But I'm sure they'll savour this victory back-to-back seasons and here at Portimao, Chris.
Certainly will. So it'll be the German national anthem for the Get Speed team.
Well, truly magnificent. A great display from Anthony Bartone and Fabian Schiller. Marco Pulcini and Eddie Cheever, I'm sure, will savour their P2 as well overall. And as will Carol Bash and Marcin Jedlinski. I don't think there'll be too many hard feelings, though I would say mostly it concerns the Pro-Am title race.
Certainly does. I mean, these two were rivals last year as well. Olymp just missed out on it, unfortunately. And they want to take that title back, don't they? But yeah, our last two Pro-Am champions going absolutely hammer and tongs and taking it right down to the last lap. It's a pretty good way to start the season. I mean, we knew this Pro-Am fight was going to be good. There were so many cars in it. It was going to be anything but bad. So that's a very good start to the season. And that's a very good 24th birthday present for Anthony Bartone, isn't it?
Yeah, nice trophy presentation there from the Michelin representatives. Of course, ever integral to the success of GT Open here in this modern era. Fantastic as well for Anthony Bartone to celebrate his birthday and coinciding it with a victory as well. And now he'll get a chance to spray the champagne. Eddie Cheever and Marco Pulcini go off on their own. Fair play to Carol Bash. I think obviously the enthusiasm steeped off a little bit. Obviously they know they've got to wear these tomorrow, but obviously Anthony Bartone with his first GT Open win wants to celebrate it in style. Goodness me. Fantastic. And just getting some well-deserved praise off Carol Bash as well. Magnificent display. And of course, it won't be the last time we see Marco Pulcini and Marcin Jedlinski and their teammates here on the podium, because they're going to be on for the Pro-Am now this time. And this time it'll be Marco Pulcini and Eddie Cheever on the top step.
Yep, certainly will. They'll be joined by the 95 crew from Motorpark, Morten Stromsted and Thomas Eichen, which rather went under the radar, didn't it, up until that last lap when Eichen took the position away from Dexter Muller. But yes, Barton Stromsted, the 54-year-old Danish driver, Thomas Eichen, the British driver, very young British driver there. I think he's only 21 years old. And another driver who is coming back into the racing scene after running out of sponsorship money midway through his British F4 campaign in 2021. So yeah, he's come back to racing and he's on the class podium as well, alongside two very, very strong lineups there.
Yeah, Morten Stromsted as well, his son Noah Stromsted, an up-and-coming single-seater racer who is also a race winner at various different levels. You never know, we could be seeing him very soon compete under the GT Sport banner, but nonetheless, incredible from Morten Stromsted and Thomas Eichen. Welcome to the series, and a great effort on part of both of you. Carol Bash, Marcin Jedlinski celebrating Ps2 here in the Pro-Am, and Marco Pulcini and Eddie Cheever will celebrate victory in the Pro-Am as presented by the Michelin representatives here at Portimao. A great way to start their weekend and their championship. Of course, they can't really sit tight though, because of course tomorrow it all happens again, and that will be Karol Bash and Marcin Jedlinski's chance.
With handicaps as well, George. That's
True.
the important thing, isn't it?
Could be somebody else that comes in as well. The likes of Giorgio Sunaghiotto, maybe Conrad Grunwald, maybe entering the fight.
Potentially. And who knows what the weather's going to do tomorrow as well, because I think it's safe to say that qualifying played a massive role in this race. I mean, even though we ended up with pro cars, coming up to the front of the field, but some significant gaps between them. As well, and also between the class cars as well. So, I think tomorrow will be very, very different indeed. So we wait to see the AM podium head out to the top step. And once again, it's the reigning champions of Heiko Neumann and Timo Rumpfkeil that get their title defense off to best possible start. Giuseppe Cipriani, the sole single entry, aboard his Il Paron Rampante Lamborghini in second position, former champion in that class as well. And then third position is Adam Osaka and Kiki Saknana in the Get Speed entry. They've done a great job there. And of course, with the 4 cars, it means there's always going to be one AM car that goes away unhappy, isn't there?
Well, that's a natural affliction, I think, at this point. But congratulations to Kiki and Adam Osaka. Of course, Adam Osaka can celebrate on several different grounds, not just as obviously a P3 in AM category, but also as a team boss of a team that's just taken victory in the very first race, in the very first round of this championship. Giuseppe Cipriani back as well, former champion, now returning, and now to the current reigning champions who have now taken the AM victory here in this instance. Great performance, despite the spin from Heiko Neumann, still persevered and came across the line to take victory. But folks, we'll be back tomorrow to do it all again as we look to go racing for race 2 here at Portimao. Join us for qualifying tomorrow morning.